Welcome to little hi there. Welcome to BaseballGuys.com. I'm your host on Around the Horn, Ray Flowers. Let's start off by talking about the big news of the day, and that's the release of Erik Bedard from the Pirates. Now, Bedard has not pitched well at all. He's pitched terribly ineffectively with a 6.44 ERA over his last 14 starts. That has caused his season-long ERA to inch just above 5 on the year. Not good at all. He's walking more than 4 batters per 9 innings. Not good at all. Now, Bedard started out very well. He had an ERA of barely 3 over his first 10 starts for the Pirates, but things just all falling apart. Now, he can still get batters out. His strikeout per 9 rate this season is about 8.5, and he's a lefty, and he's long had success whenever he's been healthy. Oddly, this season, health and no success. He's been released again by the Pirates. He will catch on with someone. Someone will give him an opportunity. No idea at this point what his value is. Even in the NL only league, you have to think it's very dubious the moment he could obviously go to the American League. Now, what do the Pirates do? They move Kevin Correa into the starting rotation. Now, Kevin Correa is kind of the anti-Bedard. He's not exciting. He's not dominating. He's not overpowering. He's pretty bleh. He's about as blah as you can get, actually, in the world of baseball. He'll go out there, he'll give him 5 or 6 innings, do 3 or 4 runs, give the team a chance to win most nights. Don't get excited about Kevin Correa. I know he's pitched a little bit better the second half of the season, but still not someone that you should pay much attention to, especially in mixed leagues. Mark Teixeira is someone who should be paying attention to in every fantasy league. Bad news for him and the Yankees. Now, he's got a grade 1 strain of his calf. They're estimating 1 to 2 weeks for him to miss time with this injury. I would have to say it's probably closer to 2, if not a little bit more than that if I had to guess. No way to be certain with that, of course, but this injury is a damaging blow, obviously, to the Yankees, and it's also a damaging blow to Teixeira owners because after 8 straight years of 30 home runs and 100 RBIs, Teixeira, he may not get there this year because of this injury. 23 home runs, 81 RBIs. He'll have to have a big final couple of weeks if he does miss 2 or 3 weeks here with the injury. He's probably going to use that 8-year run without a pretty impressive finish. A guy who's got a nice finishing kick, as they talk about in horse racing, is King Felix. 5th shutout of the season last night for the Mariners. This guy is pitching as well as any pitcher in the game. In the second half of the season, his ERA is 1.23. His whip is 0.68. Yeah, he's pitching pretty well, folks. He's dropped the season-long ERA to 2.43. That's the best in the American League. He's grown his strikeout rate to 184 in total. That's the 3rd best mark in the American League. In fact, his ERA leads baseball, and that strikeout rate is 3rd in baseball. King Felix doing what he always does, and that's give the Mariners a chance to win. It's not his fault the offense doesn't support him many times, but he is pitching as well as he's ever pitched right now. He's pitching as well as any pitcher in baseball. He is having yet another fantastic season for the Seattle Mariners. Tyler Colvin is having a fantastic season for the Rockies. 290 average, 15 home runs, 55 RBIs, and 310 at-bats. Those are great numbers for a guy that wasn't counted on to do a heck of a lot at the start of the season. Now, Colvin started out very hot. I warned people to be nervous about him, said that there was a downturn coming, and it came in July. He hit 200 for the month of July. Well, look up in August, and guess what, folks? He's hitting 337 this month. The OPS of over 950. Colvin is back to bashing the ball. Now, there's still concerns with Colvin here. Number 1, his OPS is over 1,000 at home. It's only 750 on the road. Number 2, his walk-to-strikeout ratio is literally half the big league average, and it's almost impossible to hit 300 in the big leagues with a .23 walk-to-strikeout rate. Just ask Mark Trumbo, whose batting average caved in the second half. Colvin has his uses. Colvin is a valuable player to be counting on for the moment because he's so hot. I still don't have high hopes for him all of a sudden figuring this out and proving he's a 300 hitter. I don't know necessarily he's a 35 home run hitter either like his current pace is. And only leaguers continue to ride him. Mixed leaguers, you can take a chance, but understand it's up, down, up, down, up, down when you have that kind of approach at the plate. Another player who's got that kind of approach to the plate is Brett Jackson. Now, the difference between Jackson and Colvin is Jackson is a potential 2020 threat in the outfield for the Cubs. He's got the power, he's got the speed. Now, there's one huge negative with his game, and it's been evident completely at the big league level to this point, and that is the strikeout. 66 at-bats for Jackson, 32 Ks. That's almost 50% of his at-bats. That is, holy cow, that's as bad as it gets, folks. Let me just put it that way. He's only hitting 212 on the season because of all those strikeouts. Now, his OPS is 794, which is pretty darn good considering he's hitting 211. It's also pretty good considering he never takes a walk. But as a concern, all the swings and misses. Now, When players have this approach, they're awful or they're white hot. When they're locked in, they oftentimes go on a streak of success for a week, 2 weeks, something like that. And he is in the midst, Jackson is, of one of those streaks right now. Each of the last 4 games, he's got at least a hit, 4 runs scored, 4 RBIs in that time, 3 big flies for the Cubs. Still not showing the speed on the base paths, still a woeful batting average. But right now, he is hot. You need a short-term pickup in the outfield. Hey, give it a shot. You never know. The youngster is looked at as a potential star in the outfield, for the Cubs. Luke Gregerson got a chance to be a star for the next couple of weeks for the Padres. Now, Dale Teixeira missed some time to be away with his family. He's come back now. The assumption was that he would take over the 9th inning work with Houston Street still on the sideline. Hasn't happened, folks. The last 2 times the Padres have had a safe chance, it's gone to Luke Gregerson over there. I think it should continue to be that way. I mean, I haven't seen a definitive note from the Padres at this point. But in my opinion, Gregerson should be the 9th inning guy. He should have always been the number 2 guy in that bullpen ahead of Thayer. Anyway, he's got a better skill set. In the second half of the season, Gregerson hasn't allowed a single run that's earned. He's got 20 strikeouts and only 3 walks. That's a strikeout an inning and better than 6-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. His whip in the second half, .79. He is pitching phenomenally well right now. He's throwing that slider almost 2/3 of the time, getting batters to swing and miss, drives that ball into the ground. Luke Gregerson, I'm not going to say he's worth an immediate pickup in all leagues, but I certainly would investigate whether he's out there. If he is, it would make sense to try to get a couple of cheap vulture saves. Houston Street is expected to be back in early September, so maybe only talking 7 to 10 days of Gregerson here at the end of the ball games for the Padres, but it might be worth it to get a couple of cheap saves. And then finally, 2 pitchers to note. Teixeira pitched great the other night. Shocker there. Probably Tyler Colvin of the pitching mound going up, down, up, down, up, down. He's been placed on waivers. We'll have to wait and see. We know that the Red Sox are obviously willing to trade all their players. I mean, after moving Gonzalez and Punto and Crawford, yeah, they are not afraid to do things. Oh yeah, Josh Beckett too. They're not afraid to move things. If someone were to claim Teixeira, they might let him go to that club as well, trade him, something like that. And then finally, Roy Oswalt has passed through waivers, meaning the Rangers can now trade him to any team. No one claimed Oswalt. He has not performed well this year on the surface. I still think there's enough skills there for him to get Major League batters out. He hasn't been very fortunate to this point, but I think there could be some better work ahead for him. Have to wait and see if the Rangers do something, make a move with him. There are certainly teams that could use another arm in the rotation. I'm Ray Flowers, BaseballGuys.com. Thanks for joining me on Around the Horn. Talk to you all again soon.